We're calling the regular monthly meeting of the Board of Commissioners of the Park District of the City of Fargo to order. First question is, are there any changes to the agenda?
No changes to the agenda, Madam President.
Okay. I'll take a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
So moved. Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Jeff? Oh, I'm sorry. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. All right, on to the consent agenda. We have the minutes, the board bills, the Anderson Complex fence replacement, the Brunsdale Park dugout replacement, and the easement agreements with Shields Arena. We have a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll move to approve the consent agenda as listed.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? I just wanted to make a quick mention that, you know, some of these things on here are just kind of regular order of events, the easements, but the replacement projects are, you know, just another good thing that we're doing where we're finding ways we can make improvements to our dugouts and our baselines and things of that nature. So hats off to the staff for helping with that. And Jeff, please pull the board.
Commissioner Abzey,
Aye.
Commissioner Deutsch,
Aye.
Commissioner Rosted,
Yes.
Commissioner Dawson.
Aye, motion carries. Moving on to the regular agenda, the first item is the recognition of the audience and public comments. And at this time, the board will hear comments from the public. We ask that each speaker who has signed up to address the board come up to the microphone and state their name and address for the record. We would also ask that speakers refrain from using this forum to criticize or complain about a specific employee by name. The board is interested in your comments and will listen carefully, but it is not obligated to respond to or debate issues in this forum. Should you desire a written response to a specific question, you may request it. This evening, each speaker will be allotted a maximum of 3 minutes. As a point of order, if any speaker wishes to talk later in the agenda, comments are limited only to the agenda item at hand, and speakers must first be recognized by only the Fargo Park Board President before coming to the microphone. Otherwise, the speaker may be ruled out of order and additional measures may be taken up to or including removal from the meeting. The Fargo Park Board President, however, does not have to engage in dialogue with the additional speakers. We ask that you respect this request and act accordingly. We do have one person signed up, Tyler Sand. Thank you.
Great. My name is Tyler Sand, 4275 Ponderosa Place. Good evening. My name is Tyler Sand, and I'm here tonight as a concerned Fargo resident speaking out for those who cannot attend this meeting because of the lack of transportation access to this facility. This is a wonderful facility that provides valuable recreational opportunities for our community, a walking track, sheets of ice, basketball and pickleball courts, a playground, gathering spaces, and more. But this building is also the headquarters of the Park District government. Without access to public transportation or the financial means to pay for taxis or ride-sharing services, many residents are effectively excluded from participating in these meetings and engaging with their local government. Public participation should not depend on whether or not you drive a car. I have spoken with MatBus, and they are willing to have a discussion about this further if invited. We discussed creative transportation options such as microtransit shuttles and partnerships with ride-sharing services to help residents to reach this facility. These conversations and partnerships will only happen if we start the discussion. Fargo has a great park system, and this facility is an important asset to our community. Let's work together to make it even better and more accessible. Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on to number 2, the director's report. Dave Beets.
Good evening, commissioners. Just a few updates in our park community. Last time we were together, we talked about the opening of our driving ranges, which have all since opened. I know that is something that's anticipated a lot by our community. Since then, we've also added all of our courses are now open. So about the 3rd week of April, the weather was finally conducive enough to get our golfing public out on the courses. Also, another update with in relation to Yunker Farm. did our annual sale of the community garden plots at Yunker Farm this week, and they sold out as they typically do in the very first day. And so we had a great turnout for that again. So that has happened this last week. And then just to touch on some upcoming events and openings, on May 22nd, we're going to, in conjunction with the city of Fargo, celebrate Arbor Day. That's taking place this year at the Anderson Theraldson Complex, and that's from 9:30 in the morning until 11:30. So if you're interested, come out and plant some trees with the city of Fargo staff and our Park District staff. Then again, on May 23rd, we have our annual Fairy Fest event, again at Yunker Farm. So that's a chance for families to come out and enjoy the Yunker Farm setting. We partner with that event with the Northern Plains Botanical Society. They've done great work at the Yunker Farm site. So please, hopefully the community will be aware of that event as well. That's from 1 to 4 in the afternoon. And then some updates on some future openings. So our pools, it's a sure sign of summer. We're getting ready for the pools to open. We're shooting for the 1st of June as the opening day for Island Park Pool. And then on the 8th of June, the remainder pools will follow. So that's Roger G. Gress on the north side, Madison Pool on the north side as well, Madison Pool and Splash Park, Southwest Recreational Pool at South High, and then of course Davies Recreational Pool. So it's a sure sign the weather's starting to turn. We're getting excited for pool season, and hopefully we're transitioning from spring to summer. Then again on June 5th, we have our annual event at Island Park, Midwest Kid Fest. So another great family fun event. That event runs from 10:30 in the morning to 7 p.m. at night. There's all kinds of great activities for families and kids and educational booths. So we hope people will turn out for that as well. And that concludes my report.
I walked over to Island Park the other day and they were filling the pool. It was Sunday morning and some guy came up to me and said, "Hey, when does this place open?" I said, "Very soon."
It's coming. It's coming.
It's very exciting. Thank you, Dave. Moving on to the next item, number 3, Special Assessments Committee presentation. Brock Leitz.
All right, thank you, Madam President and Commissioners. Here tonight to present the first report and recommendation from the Special Assessment Review Committee. We're going to talk a little bit about the history of special assessments and special assessment districts. We'll discuss the committee members which you had approved at a previous meeting, the recommendation that they're bringing forward, and then next steps in this process. As you may be aware, throughout the history of the Fargo Park District and the development really of the city of Fargo, the Park District has worked with individual developers to put in park amenities, playgrounds, various amenities that would be helpful for developments, housing developments throughout the city. In doing that, how we've done that historically is we've established a special assessment district. What that means is that we have to prove any entity that establishes a special assessment district has to prove that the benefit to the development and the individual lots is equal to or greater than the cost of the amenities to put those in. And then those, if you're familiar with real estate, of course, are assessed against the property. The dollars come in from the property owners. It pays for the amenities that are put in. And when those things are paid off, then the assessment goes away. In the past, as we've done that, the city has really handled all the administrative work and effort of those establishments. So we've determined what we're going to put in for playground amenities as we've worked with developers. We've presented that information to what was the City of Fargo Special Assessment Committee. They would determine the value of those assessments, and then they would establish the district on our behalf. The special assessment would be levied. We'd get those dollars to pay off the amenities. In the past year, legal counsel from the city had recommended to city administration that the Park District should really establish their own committee for this purpose, given the nature of our amenities and really our expertise in the knowledge of what goes in, that we should establish our own special assessment committee. So our legal counsel went to work and reviewed the North Dakota Century Code. We did establish a committee and put that into place. We brought that to you. You see our committee members are John Gunkelman, Rusty Popacek and Dominic Fisher. And we were very strategic in how we went about selecting those individuals. We wanted individuals that had some design expertise and knowledge in that area, some people who've been involved in development throughout the city, and then individuals who really have kind of a long-term financial history of how these things work as well. So we tried to be very strategic to get arbitrary third parties that would make recommendations for your consideration. We brought that to you earlier in this year, and you approved the establishment of that committee, and then they went to work. Their first task, and it's in your packet, is to establish the benefits determination. And what the committee really worked on is what are the types of things that might go into a park within any individual development. And not every development has all of these aspects, but there are some components of these in various parks throughout the district. It was their responsibility to determine two types of benefit. There's a tangible benefit, those things that certainly you can see, feel, touch, it's impactful to you immediately. And then there's an intangible benefit to all of those things. So as you plant trees, what's the intangible benefit of having those types of things in developments? The goal then is to do some research, and the committee did a great job of finding supporting documentation of how to measure those benefits and try to be fair about what is the immediacy, but then over the life of those amenities, what are those benefits as well. So that is what we're bringing forward to you tonight. This was presented to you at the Planning Committee in April, and it is in your packet, which shows all of the different types of amenities with the best estimate based on some research from national entities and others that show some dollar values for both the tangible and intangible benefits. Our goal tonight is to answer any questions you might have about this process, but also to get you to approve the benefits determination established by the committee. And then once that happens, if that is your action, we would then put the committee to work to apply those benefits to some existing agreements, developers agreements that we have currently on the books. And then they would take this determination and bring that back to you at a later date and say, we believe there either is or is not proven benefit for your consideration, and then you would approve at that time or not approve the special assessment district establishment. The other piece of this determination is this will really give us a metric to apply to future developments as well. So this will be reviewed annually, but it will be a little bit of a one-size-fits-all, where we've tried to exhaust all the potential park amenities so that one development might have a handful of these and a separate development later might have different amenities. If there's things that have been missed, the committee will add that to the list in their annual review and make sure that they've updated that as they go forward. So there's administratively, we had a number of staff involved as well. Tyler Kirchner, myself, Dave Beats, Jane was sitting in on those meetings, as well as Susan. And so I think you've had some good administrative leadership with that as well. And then the committee, really, we're there to be a resource and answer questions. The committee has to make this determination. One of the things that was clear from our legal counsel as well as the city's legal counsel is we're really taking, or you as the commissioners are taking, a recommendation from a citizens group that is really looking at the benefits that are provided by these. And in some cases, they might agree there is benefit, and in some cases they may not, and they will present that to you formally when the assessment district is established. With that, I don't know if Dave or Jane have anything to add, but we would be open to any questions you might have. Unfortunately, two of our committee members that were going to be here tonight were otherwise disposed and unable to be here, but I think it being involved in those conversations, we can try to answer any questions you have. Otherwise, we would ask for your approval of the document with the benefits determination for the committee to then apply to developers agreements as they come forward.
I don't have any questions. I commend John and Rusty and Donovan on their work. Dominic, I'm sorry. And yeah, it's very thorough. I think it'll provide us with good guidance for the future. The metrics they're using, which of course they use some of the information from the city, I think is valuable and I think will work well for us. And so I'm good with us moving forward.
Yeah, I just thought Professor Fisher's presentation was pretty comprehensive the other day. One question I thought about afterwards, and maybe, I don't know if you have an answer to that, but since the city used to be doing this and now the park district's taking it on, have you done an evaluation or assessment of how much of an impact that's going to be on staff time?
Not necessarily a time assessment. I think the biggest piece of time will be of the committee. I mean, we will certainly serve as a resource, but in these presentations, when the city used to do it, Tyler Kirchner was involved in presenting data to them. My predecessor was involved. This is the first one we've done since I've been here, but my predecessor was involved. Dave Beach was probably involved. So we always had some involvement with the city as well. So I think we're just shifting our time to a different entity. So I don't see that as a significant change in staff time.
Thank you, Brock.
Yep.
Okay, if there's no other questions or comments, I will entertain a motion to approve the metric for benefit determination to establish special assessment districts.
I'll take that motion and what you just said. Jeff, okay?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, Jeff, please poll the board.
Commissioner Abzi,
Aye.
Commissioner Deutsch,
Aye.
Commissioner Rosted,
Yes.
Commissioner Dawson,
Aye, motion carries. Agenda item number 4, fare increase proposal for Metro Senior Ride Services. Sydney Gardner, presenter. Good evening.
I think I have it on. Okay. I'm not used to microphones. I project very well, so I usually am not with a microphone. Good evening, and thank you for having me back. I am here to propose the $1 fare increase for the Metro Senior Ride transit service here in the city limits within Fargo, West Fargo, Horace, Moorhead, and Dilworth. I would like to ask if there's any questions from when we did the presentation in the planning committee. This would be a $1 fare increase that would start after we do our initial presentation to the members of the city. We have a DOT type of guidance that we need to do to make sure that it is presented to everybody, that they have time to make a comment or a concern of the $1 fare increase. So I would like to ask if there's any questions of me of the $1 fare increase.
Does the comment and concern period have to come after we make a decision?
Yes. Yes, and I do need to run it for about 60 days.
When would you be looking to put this into effect? Because I thought we were looking at July 1st.
Yep, and we're not going to make that. So it would be the 60 days after the approval and after we get a good amount of comments and concerns and be able to work through all of those types of emails and phone calls and things like that, that I will be taking personally so we can make sure that all of these are answered.
I think I still have some concerns that I brought up in the planning committee of, if costs are rising for us, which I know they are with fuel and repairs, they're also rising for our seniors who are accessing our rides, and Social Security and SNAP dollars, those aren't going as far. And so I am concerned that it's going to be an additional barrier for our seniors to access transportation if they're also maybe having to spend more money on food or basic necessities.
Yes. And our team has looked over what you had, your concerns are. We have put together a project for our team of what we can do and how we can assess on a safe, without indulging in their information. We will have our resource specialists that go into the homes and make sure that they are looking at that type of information. If they feel there is a concern there, we have ways that we can make sure that they are getting rides on a regular basis. We never have turned anybody down. And not only Is it going to happen that if we don't do this before too long, it's just going to keep increasing? There's probably never going to be a good time to do this, but if we don't do it pretty soon, we're looking at, well, right now we're looking at 14 years since we have increased, and it's just going to keep going up. And the cost of running the transportation service is going to keep going up, which means, are we going to have to cut back? Which means there isn't going to be enough rides or drivers to be able to get those seniors where they are. Right now, we're doing well. We're staying on track. But as the city grows and as things get longer in our city from top to bottom, we're going to have to add more service. And right now, there isn't. All of my funding that I get, the small amount I get, is from state funding. I get no federal funding. So we pretty much are done with our state funding by second quarter.
Did you consider a phased increase, like instead of $1 right now, 25 cents per year over 4 years type of decision, so that it's more palpable? And
it's a great thought, but making sure they have that extra quarter, it's easier for most to have $1 than it is for that extra quarter. We have riders all the time that ask us, how come you don't get more money? Why aren't you asking for more money? There's a fair amount that have a insecurity of income, and we watch that closely. If we see somebody that maybe isn't riding, then we do make some inquiries. We make sure that the resource specialists that go into the homes and have that ability to ask those questions do, so we can make sure that we're following up. But a quarter is a pretty tough to be putting into the box.
So who are you saying when you say we reach out to? Like, how do you identify the seniors that might need help? Because there's probably, there's tens of thousands of seniors in our community. And
Yes.
are they ones who have utilized our services in the past, ones that are utilizing other services? How do we find the ones who maybe aren't utilizing any of them?
Well, if anybody calls us, we do, get them put on our system. Our resource specialists spend multiple hours going into homes and looking at what their needs are. We get calls from the hospitals, from their resource staff, their social workers saying we have somebody that is in need. In fact, we just got one today that is living in a hotel, and the social worker said he needs help. So we got him a ride card so he can start getting to where he needs to go. So there's multiple agencies within our community that we all work together as a team. I just did a seminar at the Memory Cafe about ride services and additional what is out there. We work as a group. Matt Bus, us, Handy Wheels, we all are together to try to make sure if we can't get a ride, we give them names of other places to try. Now, of course, Matt Bus and us are the least expensive out of all of them, but we try as much as we can to make sure that we're covering all the basis of what needs to be done.
I guess I have the similar concerns to what Zoe has. And I appreciate what you're telling us. I'd be more interested in seeing actual data of who's affected, how we're dealing with it. Anecdotal stories are great. They're qualitative stories to tell, but we don't have any basis really to make a decision on. I'd like to see what those assessments might look like, what the plan is. That's more of a proactive. I mean, it sounds like if somebody calls, we'll certainly deal with them, but do we have a proactive approach to finding out where those weak spots are so we can address them? I think that's missing. I'd like to see a little bit more there.
I can sure work on that. I don't have that in my information at the moment. I just know that the amount of, we do, last year we did about 26,000 rides in just Fargo. Right now we're sitting at 22 and we're not even at the end of the year and we're pretty much tapped out. But we've got to be able to start increasing as the city grows or we can't keep the ride service as what's happening as of what the funding. And every year we never know what they're going to give us for money. And from the talk, we're probably going to not get as much this year as what has been in the past. So we do the best we can with word of mouth and being in the community and having our vehicles labeled so they see us everywhere that we go, and try to just make sure that we're out there as best as we can.
So the increased funds will go towards paying for what?
Well, we need to keep our vehicles on a maintenance basis. We need to purchase vehicles if we're going to increase the ride service. And that will all go towards that. It'll go towards wages and keeping our drivers.
So you don't have a specific item that you say, this is, if we get this, this is how we're spending it.
DOT requires that every 5 years or 150,000 miles, those vehicles have to be changed out. So we have a plan. We have a 3 to 5 year plan, and everything has to be kept in that 3 to 5 year plan. And in fact, I just finished a compliance review with DOT where they come in and look at all of our records to make sure we are staying current with everything that is going on. 3.5 years ago, we could have bought a vehicle for $27,000. Right now, my vehicles that I get on state bid, we just got some, is almost $41,000.
Sure. My biggest hang up that I can't seem to get past is the number of rides that you give for medical services. And I think of the people who go to dialysis who they don't get a ride. That's a life or death situation for them. They've got to get there. And so they will have to pay whatever increase we have, which for some of them is real money when you start realizing 3 times a week, 2 ways, how many weeks in a month. And that's where my concern comes in, is that these are people who, if they can't get a ride with us, and I understand that we have the ability to give them free rides, but that's not an easy thing for people. And so what are they going to do? So I worry about that. I worry about the people who aren't getting rides at all because they worry about how much it costs. So I have real concerns. I'm on the same page as Joe. I would have liked to have seen incremental increases over the course of many years. Now, we're far enough in that we can't look back and go back, but it's easier for me to stomach if someone's riding every day or every few days or a couple times a week, that it's $1 or $2 more a week, not $8 to $10 more a week. So that's where some of my concerns are. I also would like to see maybe the actual plan on how are we going to reach out to people? How are we going to find out like who actually can't afford a ride and who says, heck, charge me $8 a ride? Because if those people are out there, it'd be nice to know that as well. Before we're making these decisions, how many people really are impacted by it?
And I agree. There is multiple people probably out there that are looking for rides, but we have a database of 3,000 people that we work with on a regular basis that are in our system. But you also need to remember, we're not the only transit service out there. A lot of them will take Medicaid and Medicare. And that way, those people that have those, they are able to ride with those services. And we are for the people that don't have those types of things to help with. We work really closely with Matt Bus, and Matt Bus did just go up to $4 also. We have been neck and neck all the way along. We are their sidekick. They work longer in the day. They work on weekends. We take the people that are ambulatory. They take the people that need more assistance. So we work hand in hand to make sure that everybody is covered. And that's just how we have been working since 1971. And we want to keep going that way. But there's certain, there's people that are out there that are not going to ask for help. And that's what we find when we go into the homes with the resource specialists. Those teams go in and they see things and they can ask it gently and can keep things in a HIPAA law that they can come back and say, okay, we found this, we need some help. What can we do? And that's why we work as a team.
I think with that, just going back to the transparency of having it published, having it in the monthly newsletter, that it is an option to have free rides, because folks aren't going to come out and ask, but if they know about it, they might make those comments to their case manager or the resource manager. And so I think having that more visible and less of a, oh, we know this person needs the support, because then people fall through the cracks who may use it.
Yeah, I'm just lost on, okay, so we have to approve this. That's the first step. And then you have to do your, period of time where they have to talk. And I understand those two things have to happen in order for this to go into place, but could we have gotten feedback ahead of time from the user constituents to find out what the reaction is going to be to it?
We could in a way, but what you're going to do is frighten people of what are you asking? Are you going to close? Are you going to not be around? Why are you asking these questions? So if we get that we're going to do the dollar increase, and then we start asking, really see what their concerns are, and maybe it's not us that can help them. Maybe we need to look at another service in town that can help them, and then we go by what their needs are.
See, I see this the other way around. I see us saying it's going up $1, and that frightens people, as opposed to us asking them before we make the decision. So we could.
And that we've already approved it.
Yes,
But
yes. So
if it doesn't go well, we don't have to keep going. We don't have to do the dollar increase.
But it's out of our hands at that point, because we already approved it before you're doing the survey piece. And I understand that that's legally the way it has to go, but that's I think all of our concerns to a certain extent. That
So at the planning meeting, it was my understanding that we had a timing issue with July 1st, but that's not the case. Is that correct?
We wanted that July 1st, but that's just not going to work out. There's nothing set in stone with that, or it doesn't have to be July
Okay.
1st. It could be January 1st.
So it could be, we can pick whatever date we want.
Yeah, yes.
Obviously, the sooner helps the financial situation.
We were looking at July 1st because that's the first of our contract year.
Yeah.
So we have a good understanding of what we may get for state money and where we're going to be able to go with this.
So July 1st, you'll learn what what money you'll receive from the state.
Well,
Is that
that's
what you're
when
saying?
that's when the year starts. We don't usually get our contract until sometime in August, sometimes early
Okay.
September. So
Okay.
we start the year, we start providing services without the contract in place, but it's, within a month of the first,
We're
Okay.
in the,
July, August 1st, maybe.
we're in the middle of a biennium, so wouldn't those dollar amounts for the next fiscal year already be identified? And
No, we make application, it's due December 31st, December 31st of 25. And then it's implemented, your new year starts the next July 1st, but we don't get the contract. We don't know what it is until a month or 6 weeks after the start of the new fiscal year for DOT. That's just the way it is.
and for budgeting purposes, wouldn't it make sense to assume that we were going to have the same number of rides the following year, and then take that extra $1 and say, okay, this is our guesstimated dollar amount that we're going to bring in the next year or whatever, and here are some of the ways we're going to, but we're going to specifically, we're buying a new vehicle, we're being, we're gasoline prices have gone from this to this, you know what I'm saying? So when you go through that vetting process that you're going to go through after we approve, that we can identify some ways that that dollar is going to go, because I'm sure that they're going to want to know that to a certain extent.
So just in the interest of us moving forward, because I feel like we're all have similar concerns, and we'd like to hear what how the actual users feel before we make a decision. And maybe there aren't going to be the concerns we have. I would like to suggest that you do some of that work first. And since you don't have a set you don't have to have this done July 1st, that we get that input from the community, from the actual users, and then make a determination from there. And if it isn't an issue for people, then it'll be easy enough to pass and we'll have done our due diligence on the front end rather than the back end.
So what will that measurement be? You asked us about, measuring how we can use the extra dollars to provide services or how it affects people. But if we get some feedback and half of the people or 60% of the people that comment say, no, we don't want you to raise fares, does that mean we don't? I mean, how do we measure that?
Well, I think our questions need to be more in line with, this is where I looked at this fine group over here of
Right.
helping me with wording and marketing and how we might handle some of these sensitive questions. But, if you feel that people are going to tell you when you're meeting with them individually after we raise it, won't they do that with you individually before you raise it? I mean, you have
Yeah.
people who tell you it's not enough.
They could. I think, a lot of times those sessions like that, asking for public input, some of it will be on, the fares, possibly, but they're also going to make suggestions about the service.
Great.
So
Happy to have
I
it.
think
I-
I think we saw that already, right? That they're going to express their concerns one way or another. So let's do it on the front end.
If we haven't learned anything, feedback from the community is fantastic.
And I also think we could ask, would they have change? Would 50 cents be a burden to them? Or would they have the quarters to raise it even just 50 cents? Because if we're saying, oh, quarters are too hard for them to have, $1 easier, but maybe they're like, no, I actually have a lot of quarters lying around and that wouldn't be a barrier.
Or could they buy a punch card that has that so that they don't have to deal with change? I mean, these are all questions that we
Yeah.
can discuss.
does the park district do that with other fares that are raised? Do we ask for public comment on, other pool fares or whatever?
Well, we can go back a year and see how that played out with the pools, can't we?
Yeah.
We did it backwards last year and we realized, hey, we should have probably done this better. So I don't
Sure.
think we'll ever lose when we ask the community. We may not always like their answers because they're hard answers, but they're telling us what's important to them and what they need. And if they come to us with other things they want or need, that's good. I mean, I think that's why we're here.
Yeah, and I'll go back to my earlier comment. I think the public input's good, but I also think that I'd like to see a proactive approach to how we're going to deal with these people that, aren't going to self-reveal what their financial situation is. But because we talked about that at the planning committee, that we were going to have some kind of plan to deal with that. And I think we need to still develop that.
Yeah, well, we do have, and we have had, and we're very aware of that, and we have had a plan in place. So I do have to stand up for that just a little bit. We've always had a program where people can get, rides, a free card. In fact, we have a new source of grant that we just received that we're going to have about $1,250 to buy ride cards, or to have ride cards set aside for people who can't afford them. So, we are very, very much doing that. That's very much been part of our business for 50 years, 55 years. We certainly do that now. And Sydney's aware, her staff is aware, our resource staff is aware. So we certainly have that handled. Are we able to contact everybody that may have a concern about that? I can't tell you that we do that, but we certainly have a program in place to take care of people who can't afford the ride. And I don't know what the city did, but the city raised, theirs to $4. And like Cindy said, we've always, had that understanding that we would keep our fares the same. Now, is it written down that we have to? No. But that's just something we've done because our services do complement each other. So, we still think it's time to do that. We're still cheap, even at $4, a very inexpensive ride service. What do you say, Handy Wheels is $20?
Handy Wheels is $20. Just about everybody is about $20 here in town.
So, we certainly are still very affordable, staying in line with what the city is charging.
Well,
It's been 14 years, it's just been a long time.
my recommendation would be that we reach out to the public and get some input from our specific users of who are using it, and hopefully lean on these guys to come up with some carefully worded questions, and whether it has to be one-on-one conversations or how we do it, but I would rather we get some of that input before we raise it. And then we have people who are frightened and are worried about it, and people who say, well, I'm not taking those rides anymore because I can't. And I understand that we've got free cards. I know that we have the availability. Again, not everyone's going to reach out. There's people we're probably missing. And that's the piece of the plan that also I'd like to see. Where are we promoting this? How are we getting this out? Zoe's mentioned this. So, but if someone wants to entertain I'll entertain a motion if someone's interested in making a motion. Otherwise, I would, my personal thought is we take this back to have you guys work on this a little more and come up with some feedback from the actual users.
Yeah, I mean, your words were, if we approve it, you survey them, you say at that point, we have the opportunity to decide not to do the increase. I'd prefer if you survey them on the front end as well, so that we can all be a part of that process instead of waiting until after we've approved it and then you do the survey period and then you ultimately make that decision by yourself.
Well, we try it. I think it's be a little confusing to say, we're planning on going up to $4, but it hasn't been approved. And then they give us their feedback. It's just, is it going to be $4? We'll have seniors that say, is it $4? Is it $3? It's going to be a little confusing, but we'll work through it.
But you weren't sure you were going to do it for sure anyways until the end of that period. And so what difference does it make
I'm just saying that's what I think will happen. If we say we're proposing to raise our fares to $4, I just think it'll be a little bit confusing for them, but we'll do what you want to do. We'll make that work and we'll explain it to them.
And I think when you do that, I hope you come to them with some feedback as far as the positive things they're going to see as a result of that fare increase.
Yeah.
I think that would be a good positive way to go about asking for that increase. Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you.
Yep.
Okay, moving on to the final agenda item, the planning committee update. That would be me. So the planning committee, which of course covers all of the things we cover in the board meeting at length that are not on the governance committee, which the majority of these were on the consent agenda tonight and discussed at the planning meeting, was the Anderson Complex fence improvements, the Brunsdale Park dugout replacement, both presented by Tony, and then the easement agreements with the Shields Arena overflow parking that's on our land, the fare increase, which we've discussed even further tonight, and the special assessment committee. Does anyone have anything else for the good of the order? If not, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
Move to adjourn.